Welcome back. We're talking a little bit about Xbox. Xbox? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Xbox. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Xbox. Why are we talking about Xbox? Well, they've got their E3 event tomorrow, June 9th, 2019. And it should be interesting, okay? And when I say should, I mean that in the sense of like, if you have any common sense, Phil Spencer, this is your time to turn this around and make it about the games again. Ever since launch, the Xbox brand has been all about the service. It was hyped up, the entertainment, features, famously with what's his name? I already forgot that CEO's name, but his career basically died with the launch of the Xbox One and requiring Kinect for it to be usable. So they were trying to bridge the gap into all kinds of other things to make the Xbox your main box in your entertainment center. And now Xbox seems to be moving towards a service-minded kind of business. They've been talking with Nintendo, working with Nintendo, having Cuphead is going to launch on the Nintendo Switch soon, and some folks are, there's been some rumors, there's been some talk like maybe Nintendo will use Xbox Live since their Xbox Live service is messed up. It doesn't work. They don't know how to do it properly. And Xbox Live is one of the things that Microsoft does consistently well. I don't currently own an Xbox One myself, although I've thought about it, especially for the UHD Blu-ray player on the S. I've thought about it, but there's no real exclusives to really get me to jump ship. And the One X, is a cool console. It's a beast, but I've got a PS4 Pro and I've got a gaming PC which can handle, pretty much most of the new games that come out. I can play it on my gaming PC, and it's not really going to be a problem. So I'm not really interested in an Xbox One this gen. But it is exciting to speculate. I was a big fan of the Xbox 360. That was my favorite console of last gen. It ran most of the games in the best quality, best frame rate, best graphics. In a lot of the games, it was pretty sad to see the PS3 lag behind because of the difficult development process for the PS3. But Sony learned their lesson, and now the PS4 is the 360 of this generation, except, we're getting a lot of really good exclusives, so Sony has kept that up, bringing out the exclusives. And what's really interesting at this particular time, in this particular E3, is that Microsoft recently bought up quite a few studios, and a few of them are some of my favorite studios. I love their games. So we're going to take a look at the studios that they acquired, and maybe there's going to be some announcements for tomorrow. Now, are there going to be a bunch of exclusives announced? There might be a couple exclusives. We might hear about the next Halo. We might hear about the next Gears of War. People have been talking about that. I personally have stopped caring about Gears of War since Gears of War 3. Gears of War 3 was a pretty big letdown. I still remember when I first played Gears of War 1. It wasn't even on my Xbox. I didn't even have an Xbox 360 at the time. I was at a friend's house, booted it up on a HD TV, and I'm pretty sure this was one of the first games, if not the first game that I played on an HD TV. So going from CRTs, playing at composite, mostly composite. I didn't really even get to play component that much until I got an HD TV that had component inputs. Microsoft was really on top of their game with the 360. You know, there's still some games I like to play on it still to this day, and the online was awesome. Um, you know, it's too bad that I didn't have that many friends online to play with. While throughout the time that I had my 360. But the times I did get to play online with others, it was always smooth. It was always, man, like even on PS4, it's not as smooth as it was on 360. They built that straight into the system. And that's what Microsoft is best at. So I guess it does make sense if they like lease out their Xbox Live service to Nintendo. That would be a great partnership. And then maybe they could put out Nintendo games on the Xbox at higher resolution, higher frame rate. I really doubt that would happen, though. Nintendo is so protective of its properties, and they want you to play it on their device. Like, the whole reason the device exists is so that you can play their games and that they can get a huge cut. But they have been working closely with Microsoft, and who knows, we might see a more substantial partnership further on. I wouldn't mind Microsoft and Nintendo merging their games divisions and just coming out with like the ultimate rival for the PS4. That'd be great for competition, I think, even though you're consolidating two companies. On their own, they're not really that much competition for the PS4. The Switch is a huge competition for the PS4, but I mean, it came a little bit late in the game, and Sony really took this gen by the reins, and is leading everybody pretty much. Although in Japan, I think the Switch just passed Sony, so Sony could be in trouble when Nintendo announces its next version of the Switch. But as far as Xbox One, it's a nice little system, whether you're talking about the S or the X. It's a nice little system if you don't have a PS4 already, basically. If you have a Switch, you could, kind of make the justification to get an Xbox. But if you already have a PS4, there's very little justification to get an Xbox. If you have a really nice PC, there's kind of little justification to use Xbox Live, other than the convenience factor, which is a strong factor. Let me not underrate the convenience factor of consoles. That's why a lot of people prefer consoles. So like I was saying, we might expect a couple of exclusives. Halo and Gears of War will probably be exclusives, or, PC and Xbox, that kind of deal. At the very least, of course. It would be kind of a shocker to see Gears of War announced for the Switch, or some new game announced for Xbox and the Switch. That'd be interesting. I doubt that will happen, though. We'll probably just get a sizzle reel of some decent-looking games. I mean, that's what we've been getting. Just a sizzle reel of some decent-looking games. I mean, one or two look good. And the rest are just multi-platform games. Like I said, Gears of War lost my interest a long time ago. It just seems like they're dragging that corpse around, man. Like, I don't know anybody who's really like, oh, man, huge Gears of War fan still from back in the day. Like, no, if you played Gears of War 2 online, nothing really topped that, man. Just chainsawing people from around the corner, left and right. Oh, man, it was great. I didn't even, like, shoot a gun much in that game. I was just chainsawing people. And Halo, I was never really that big a fan of. Halo 2 was awesome at the time. But, then, like, much time passed before I even played Halo 3 and Halo Reach. And by then, I was just kind of like, it's okay, it's decent, but it's not like a system seller for me. I know it is for a lot of people, but not for me. Like, a lot of people that grew up with Halo kind of moved past that, I think. But they do have these new studios, and it's exciting. I mean, if they really flex that exclusive muscle, which I'm pretty sure they won't. I'm pretty sure all the games that are going to come out from these studios, if any, do actually get released, and don't get canceled. Scalebound. And if they do actually get released, they're going to be on PC as well. So we're going to go through some of the studios that they've recently acquired and maybe speculate on what they might announce tomorrow other than Gears or Halo. So here we go, folks. All right, so this is a screenshot from an article from Polygon, which I don't really read, but whatever. It showed up on Google when I searched what were the acquisitions Microsoft made. Shout out to Destructoid, a much better news site. I prefer them. Yeah, so these 5 games were announced last year, and before last year, there hasn't been a major acquisition made by Microsoft, you know, studio-wise, at least game studio-wise. There hasn't been an acquisition since 2014, and that's when they bought up Mojang, the makers of Minecraft, which obviously was a great move. You know, I'm sure they probably made their money back on that already with all the merchandise, the games, and everything like that. So this is a big, you know, this is a significant move, and this was just last year. So we will most likely hear about some new games coming from these guys, if anybody. We've got the Initiative up at top. This entirely new Santa Monica, California-based studio is being headed up by Daryl Gallagher, former studio head at Crystal Dynamics. We got his LinkedIn, everybody. Some real investigative journalism over here, everybody. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? We're going to find out for you more. As the Polygon article mentioned, he worked on the Tomb Raider series, and the new Tomb Raider series is okay. You know, I played the first one. Actually, I only played the first one, and I would say that's like an 8 out of 10 game, but you know, it's not really a Tomb Raider game to me. I grew up on the old school Tomb Raider, the horrible controls, you know, the crazy platforming, you know, the insta-death left and right, you know, the T-Rexes and all that. That was an awesome game at the time. This new Tomb Raider is like, it's okay, you know. So you know, and Square Enix puts out a lot of good games. They're pretty consistent with their quality. So he had a hand in these games. So Hitman Go, that was actually a pretty cool game, cool little game. I heard Thief bombed. Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, that was all right. Like I said, I haven't played Rise of the Tomb Raider or Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Looks like he didn't work on Shadow, but those are decent games. Life is Strange was cool. Lara Croft Go is all right. I actually played that too, and Just Cause is all right. The new Hitman's supposed to be really good. I haven't really tried it. Deus Ex Human Revolution, now that was a really good game. I really appreciated that, bringing back Deus Ex finally. But then he was working with Activision here. So he worked on the Crash Bandicoot remake. He worked on Destiny 2 and some Call of Duty. So I haven't really been playing Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 3. So I can't speak to the quality of those games. I know Modern Warfare 1 was a great game. I'm assuming the remaster was competent. So he's done some good work as the head of development for these big AAA studios. So the question is his new studio going to be a big AAA studio? Maybe. Maybe the Initiative is a new big AAA studio. So we'll see what comes of it. You know, it looks like he's had most of his experience with action adventure titles. So, you know, it's possible he might head up like a third-person action adventure title, whether, you know, probably have something to do with guns and killing, so just so you know. So that should be interesting. You know, I really appreciate Crystal Dynamics. They've done a lot of good work, and Square Enix has done a lot of good work when they bought up Eidos and, you know, Crystal Dynamics and all that. Undead Labs. Now this is a dud here. I don't know why they even bothered acquiring this studio. Maybe they got a really good deal on it. I played the demo for State of Decay. It was okay. Like, and I like survival horror. I like just survival games in general. You know, like Stalker, you know, scavenging for things, fighting the undead. it's a great premise. It's an easy premise, if you ask me. Like, if you have any kind of competency in actually programming and making some decent graphics, you don't even really need a story. It's just like, okay, boom, undead, kill them all. You know, it's easy. But these games haven't really done all that well. State of Decay 2, 66, 69. State of Decay 1, 72, 79, 78. So very middling scores. I don't know why. I don't know why. They'll probably announce State of Decay 3, if anything. I would prefer if they, you know, made something else, because apparently, you know, this is all that they've made is State of Decay 1 and 2. Their name is Undead Labs. They seem pretty dedicated to shitting out zombie action games. So, you know, I'm not looking forward to whatever they have to announce. I really have no interest. Playground Games, they're the Forza developer, and they only make Forza. But apparently, according to this article, they're going to bring their open world expertise to an entirely new project. Now, these guys, they crank out games on like a yearly or bi-yearly basis, pretty much. There's always a new Forza out. So I think it's a pretty good assumption that this studio is going to announce something new. Maybe not Forza related, probably not Forza related, according to this, if this has any merit. But I'm not really expecting anything outside of the racing genre. I'd be pleasantly surprised if Ninja Theory. Now this is one of the first of the three studios that I'm really excited to hear from and see what they can do. Ninja Theory, they have been on fire. They've been around since 2003. Let's see. Heavenly Sword, I own. I haven't played it yet, but it looks pretty decent. You know, it doesn't look like anything too spectacular. It's a God of War clone, but it was like a launch title for PS3 or one of the launch window titles, and it's pretty decent. Enslaved is a pretty dang good game. It's got like a mix of a little bit of platforming, a little bit of Uncharted, and some pretty good combat and mechanics, good story, really nice graphics. It'd be nice to see a sequel to that, but I doubt they're going to do a sequel to that. That's kind of like a self-contained game based on like the Monkey King story, that Chinese story, whatever. The one that Dragon Ball is based out of, that one. Devil May Cry DMC. People hate on this game, but I actually really like this game. The only other Devil May Cry I've tried was the first one, and that one was cool, although it seemed pretty hard, and I never really owned it. I only tried it at a friend's house, so I never really got to learn it. But Devil May Cry was pretty easy to play. I think it's a good entry for those who aren't really that familiar with Devil May Cry and don't really have any expectations. I think it's still a very solid game, and I need to finish the DLC still, and the DLC is good too. Fight Back, never heard of it. Marvel Superhero, well, Disney Infinity did pretty well, with all its products, I'm assuming, like, Disney Infinity 3, yeah, so they worked on that stuff, and that made a good amount of money and got pretty good reviews. Then you got the Hellblade, and they're working on that new VR game, which looks awesome, the Vader Immortal game. And I'm not really, I don't buy VR. I don't plan to get VR, but it's still pretty cool, I gotta say. So that's a really good investment, getting Ninja Theory, and they like to do different games. They don't really serialize their games. You don't see a bunch of sequels for things. So you could probably count on them announcing something brand new, a new IP. And they release games pretty frequently. If you can see here, since 2013, they've been releasing, just about a game or two a year. So a good acquisition, Microsoft. Good job. A+. And so the last one on this list is Compulsion Games. It's a Canadian developer behind the upcoming We Happy Few. So here's another developer where they've only made one game. They're only working on this one game. They haven't made anything else. So it's a kind of a gamble. And I've been hearing about We Happy Few for so long that I thought it got released already. You know, I'm not sure if they will publish it for Xbox One exclusive. If that's possible, they might announce that it's now an exclusive. I don't necessarily think so. I don't think Microsoft really cares about exclusives anymore. They're just focused on having the best online service and having the most powerful console. So we've got a few more. So just this year, a few more were announced. A few more acquisitions were announced. Enixile. Now, a lot of people might not be familiar with Enixile, but they made the awesome Wasteland 2. I really enjoyed that game. Haven't really played their other games. You got the Bard's Tale, which people like a lot. Hunted Demon's Forge. I forgot if that was good or not. Choplifter. I mean, they're basically known for Wasteland 2 and Torment Tides of Numenera, which was the sequel or the remake of the first Torment. Or is that a port of the old one? I forget. Oh, that's a picture anyway. I'm trying to click on it. But they're making Wasteland 3. I mean, I'll definitely get that on PC. I wouldn't get a Xbox One for it, definitely. So I'm assuming that it's gonna stay multi-platform, but I'm sure Enixile will announce something else. You know, it's a pretty strong possibility they might announce something else at E3, or they'll probably just show off Wasteland 3. They'll probably just show it off and be like, hey, here's how it looks like on the X, etc. You know, maybe it'll have time exclusivity. You never know. So Obsidian is probably the best acquisition they could have made. Many people have been talking for a while like, man, you know, Obsidian, I wish a big publisher would just pick them up and like really give them the funds they need to make a killer game, because they've suffered with this trend of working with publishers that don't give them the time or the resources to really go in and really make an awesome game. I mean, I mostly think about Fallout New Vegas, where Bethesda basically said, hey, you know, if you get an 85 Metacritic, we'll give you more money. If you don't reach that, you'll get the standard base payment or whatever. And they like just barely missed the 85 or whatever the number was, and that was annoying. And then Bethesda never used them again for another Fallout. And Fallout New Vegas, to a lot of people and myself, is the best 3D Fallout. It's so good. There's so many ill mechanics in there, deep mechanics that don't show up in 4. 4 was boring. The story wasn't good. Like in New Vegas, it was somewhat interesting. You had all these factions. I mean, they threw a lot of that out the window with Fallout 4, and that made it probably the most disappointing game of that year, of whatever year it came out or whatever year I played it. But Obsidian has been doing their thing for a long time. 2004, they did Knights of the Old Republic 2. Haven't played it, but first one's pretty good. I heard good things about the second one too. Neverwinter Nights is a well-known RPG. Alpha Protocol, a lot of people sleep on this because it was a buggy mess and got really bad reviews, but this is a good game. I played this a few years ago a couple times, and this is another game that's super deep. You can play on different difficulties as different classes, and this is a spy game. But you get different classes. It's so deep with the RPG elements, and it's so much fun. I'll eventually play it again on like the hardest difficulty because new dialogue opens up when you play on different difficulties, and yeah, things change a little bit. Um, so I think it's an awesome game. I would love to see Alpha Protocol come back. Oh man, that'd be awesome. Or like a remake, like clean it up, fix it up, just completely rebuild it. But you know, just keep the same game. Maybe add a few things that you wanted that they didn't put in because it seemed like a rushed game. And if they really put like Mass Effect level resources into Alpha Protocol, it would be the next Mass Effect. It's so awesome. It's so good. Dungeon Siege 3, you know, that's another notable series. Haven't played Dungeon Siege 3 though. South Park Stick of Truth, you know, a lot of people love this game. I've played it. It's a really cool game. I haven't beaten it yet though because I got kind of lost or stuck somewhere, but this is a really good game. It looks awesome, plays awesome, fully voiced by the creators of South Park. You know, so that's another killer game. Pillars of Eternity. I've only messed around with it a little bit, kind of just to test how it looks on my computer, but I haven't played it. But great reviews on that one. I haven't heard much about Skyforge, just an MMO, so I haven't heard much about it. I heard Tyranny was really good. Pillars of Eternity 2, I heard was really good. All really well rated. And this game that they announced, The Outer Worlds, man, this is going to be such an awesome game. It's going to be a Fallout killer. I'm telling you, it looks so good. It looks more, you know, it seems to pay more respect to the original Fallout universe more than the new Fallouts. And it seems like there's like, you know, fresh energy in there, you know. Fallout 4 seems so like, ugh, like they just, you know, like they put it in a machine and out came Fallout 4. Like it didn't really, it didn't have anything fresh, anything like exciting and new. It was just like, oh, you know, another big ass map to run around and kill a bunch of people and level up and blah blah blah, and just really no real incentive to finish the game other than just wanting to finish the game, wanting to put it behind you. And I put over 100 hours in Fallout 4. And I kind of regret it. Like, it kind of was not the best use of my time. Like, I could have, you know, started writing a book or something like that. Like, what the fuck I was doing playing Fallout 4. Yeah, so those are the new acquisitions. Let's see. So Obsidian will probably announce something. Well, actually, they got Outer Worlds, so they're probably just focusing on that. So to conclude, you know, we might hear something from Ninja Theory, probably the State of Decay developer. Undead Labs will have something to say. The Initiative will probably announce something. I mean, they kind of have to. They're a brand new studio. They got to say something, or else the shareholders are going to be like, why did we spend money on all this? So the fact that a lot of these studios already had something, most of these studios had something already in the works. You know, they've got stuff already coming out, like half, well, actually like half of them. We talk about 6 studios, right? It's like half of them already have something that's already in the works, already coming out, you know, multi-platform stuff. So I'm hoping that we get at least 3 good exclusive announcements for Xbox. They really need it. You know, like I said, I'm not really planning to get an Xbox. You know, maybe when they're super dirt cheap, I'll get a used one just to play UHD movies on it. But by then, the PS5 will probably play UHDs, so who knows? They will need that bigger format anyway to store the bigger games, you know, 100 gigabyte games and stuff like that, you know. But I'm looking forward to it, you know. Even though I don't own this system, I haven't been playing on Xbox since the 360 days. You know, I still have some affection for the brand. You know, they've put out some good stuff. And, you know, I hope they give Sony and Nintendo some good competition. You know, there's really no reason, in my eyes, if you have a PS4, a gaming PC, you really don't need an Xbox. Maybe if you only had a Switch and wanted to play some multi-platform games in high quality in like the highest quality, I'd be like, yeah, get an X or maybe get an S, you know. But it's really just like that extra system at this point. That's just like, like I could get it, but I mean, I don't even. I got so many games already. Like I have a PS4, I have a PC. As far as this gen capable stuff, PS4, PC. You know, I got the Switch, and the Switch, like I don't even play that much, even though I got games for it. You know, but most of that is due to like it's not sitting in my entertainment system. I gotta take it out the bag and set it up, even though the setup ain't that big, but still. So, what are your thoughts on the conference tomorrow? What are you expecting them to announce? What do you think is going to happen with these new studios? You know, are we going to see some really cool exclusives, or just going to dump out multi-platform titles? And, you know, are we going to see timed exclusives? Like, what are we going to see with the Xbox? Are they going to try to focus on exclusive games now? Are they going to put more focus on games now? What are they going to do? That's the big question, because their focus has not really been about games. Even as much as Phil Spencer likes to say it is, he's not really showing it. You know, he kind of brought the Xbox One back to life after that first guy fucked it up. You know, but to compete against PS4, to compete against Switch, they've got to do a lot more. And if I was Phil Spencer, I would also lower the limit on production of Xbox One discs. Like that's just a stupid limitation. I don't know why you have it. Like so many people obsess over these limited run titles that come out from these small publishers, like limited run games and super rare games, special reserve games. People go crazy over that, and that could really help the Xbox's buzz if they, you know, started, you know, allowing games to release on Xbox One through these small outlets. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that they can do. They got the money for it. They just need to, I don't know. I think what it is they have a bigger agenda, you know. But when they first launched Xbox One, they wanted to put this camera in your home that could literally see through walls. The camera tech on this thing was bananas. You could have taken that R&D and just, you could have launched with the Xbox One X. You could have launched with the S already. But no, they focused on making this big old box with big old attachments, and it was a disaster. Yeah, so I mean, everybody's waiting for Xbox to learn their lesson, and I have a feeling that, you know, it's a little bit too late. Like this gen's already almost done. Whatever they're doing for next gen, you know, they need to really come out strong, and it needs to be a really good device that people will see the value in. And people aren't going to see the value in it if they can just play those games somewhere else for a little cheaper, even if it's a little less quality. So that's my 2 cents. Leave your comments below. Drop a like. It don't really cost you nothing, but it would really, you know, boost my self-confidence. Maybe I'll make more videos if you drop that like, and you know, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I don't even make videos all that often, so ring that bell and you'll get notified. All right? So peace out, guys.